first time I heard her voice, we went on a date, and I took her home. She was still living with her family at this point, and she invited me in, and I thought, yeah. All right.
I'd be the same.
Yeah, party time.
Yes.
So,
my God.
She invited me in and took out her guitar.
Oh, that is not what you were expecting.
It wasn't what I expected, but you know what? She played me her songs and bowled me over with her voice,
wow.
and we started not only dating, but we started working together right away.
So you actually heard her voice the first time on that first date.
Yes.
And during all this time, there was another, a couple of people know his name, Mike Myers, who was floating around the whole Christopher Ward, Alannah Myles.
Well, didn't you all live together?
Yeah, we shared an apartment together in the beach area of Toronto. I met Mike when he was 17 because it was before, Alannah got going.
Yeah.
I was in the Second City touring company with Mike. And there's somebody, who's I'm still friends with. We still text all the time. And,
we'll say hi.
Yeah, we'll do. And, so when he did the Austin Powers movies, he had me come and be in the band. He could have had Dave Grohl in the band.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like,
Yeah.
But you got to love loyalty, right?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. So how did that co-write happen with BBC?
Oh, you know what? It's mostly Mike. He was just being kind and giving us all an equal share in that song. That was just pure generosity on his part.
With your background, wasn't there something you did?
Well, he and I have written songs together before. I mean, when we were just hanging out, like back in the Second City days. So we had a musical relationship, let's say.
Yeah.
But, that idea, you can tell it's just patented Mike. He doesn't need anybody else to come up with that. And he's very musical. Like, he's got really good ideas.
Oh, yeah, we know that from the Double Deckers.
Yeah, baby.
So is there going to be a double-decker reunion?
Well, I don't know, baby. We'll have to see. Let's see where it goes.
We'll start writing letters.
Yeah, mostly. We open the letters that come from all the birds. So,
Liverpool's waiting, Chris.
Once when I was on Much, I had Jerry Marsden from Jerry and the Pacemakers.
Yes.
I had him on as a guest, and we had just done the Double Deckers thing, and I said, listen, man, would you do something for me? And he's like, sure. He was like really super, super nice guy. And I thought, well, I can only take a chance, right? Mm-hmm. So I had him record this little spiel in which he goes, there have been a lot of great bands that have, come out of Liverpool area over the years, and, I've been privileged to be in one and know a lot of them. But there's this band that's up and coming now that are probably, they may in fact be the best thing since the Beatles to come out of Liverpool. You probably haven't heard about them. They're called the Double Deckers. He did this, but he did it completely straight.
Oh man, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
So, as you said, you're still very good friends with Mike Myers. Another friend of yours, Neil from Crowded, is now in Fleetwood Mac.
Well, I just saw their show in L.A. at the Forum, and it was fantastic. And it amazed me how, it didn't surprise me, but it was still amazing to see how well he was integrated into that band. And they depended upon him for that show. You think of how many of that band's greatest songs have the voice of Lindsey Buckingham on them.
Yeah. And
there's no way, like Christine McVie can't cover those songs, and I would think that Stevie really can't cover most of them either. They require, a pretty powerful tenor voice.
Yeah.
And Neil was just like hand in glove, the perfect fit. I was chatting with him actually at his gig in L.A. right after he'd been hired, and I said, "So, did you know this was coming?" And he said, "Absolute." Total 100% surprise.
Really?
He was at sound check at a show that he was doing with an orchestra in Auckland, New Zealand, and a stagehand came over with a phone and went, "Neil, it's Mick Fleetwood for you. He's like, oh, Mick Fleetwood, cool. And that was it.
No, just like that.
Yeah.
Had he done any session work for them?
Neil's son Liam, who's part of the touring and who they just did a record recently, which is lovely, had done some work. Like I think he'd actually hired Mick to drum on a couple of tracks on his solo album. So there was a pre-connection. But I think it was just pure astuteness on Mick Fleetwood's part. I think he just went, okay, I know what I need here, and man, Neil Finn would be perfect. And he was right.
Absolutely. And you saw them in LA last year, right? With, let me clarify. Not Fleetwood, but Neil, you, and Mike Myers. You guys did a BBC jam? Yeah, well, it was just, I don't know Neil very well. I met him a bunch of times in the Much days, but he knows Mike, and Mike called me up and said, hey, I got tickets for Neil Finn. You want to go? I went, oh, that'd be great. He was playing at this theater in Los Angeles. And he said, well, he asked me if I would do a song with the band. I said, that's great, man. You should do it, definitely. He's like, yeah. He's going, yeah, but I don't really know any songs. I went, oh, you'll think of something. And he said, well, actually, I did think of something. I was thinking of doing BBC. I said, great idea. And he said, but I'm not doing it without you.
Oh.
And I went, gunk. You can hear did you hear my Adam's apple going up and down like about 2 inches on that one?
Wow.
Because I hadn't been on stage thrashing away with a Telecaster for a couple of decades.
Oh man!
It just came as a complete surprise. The weird thing for me was we got a really quick run through during the rehearsal period, and then it was the last song of the show, so there was only a certain amount of anticipation built on this, right?
Right.
And there I am during the rehearsal, looking across the stage, and Neil's band I had to direct the band, show them where all the stops were and stuff, because Mike's not really a player, and I think that's why he needed me, was to conduct the band. So I'm looking across the stage at Neil Finn, who's one of my songwriting heroes, and he's like following everything I'm doing, and I'm having this out of body experience, going, man, this is weird, but it's great.
Oh yeah.
And then, crowd goes wild. The best thing for me is that nobody paid the slightest attention to me, because Mike was on stage drawing all the focus as he should. So.
Which released all the pressure from you.
It did. Yeah, it totally did.